Hi there, I'm Kathleen Galdo, and I'm excited to share with you tips and techniques for increasing emotional self-empowerment, happiness, and a sense of calm. I've been sharing these techniques with clients for 17 years, and I'm excited to share some of them with you today. Today, we're going to be reviewing 5 questions to ask yourself if you find that you're engaging in negative self-talk that's impacting your self-esteem. We all do negative self-talk at one point or another. It happens. We're human, we're emotional beings, and sometimes our thoughts are driven by how we're feeling, but they're not always completely accurate. So these tips and techniques will help you to reframe the thoughts into more accurate, supportive, and objective thoughts. And the more you do this, it'll be like working that emotional muscle, sort of strengthening that neural network that allows you to catch the negative thoughts and reframe them into thoughts that support your self-empowerment and ultimately your self-esteem. And the first technique is called the Socratic technique. So with the Socratic technique, you want to examine the evidence, especially the evidence against the negative thought. This first technique is difficult to do, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. If you're having a hard time thinking of examples where you were capable, or you did notice that you are good enough, you felt good about yourself, if you're having a hard time having some examples against the negative self-talk, cast that net far and wide, really work into finding examples, no matter how big or small, against that negative self-statement. Noticing times where you did feel capable, noticing times that you spoke clearly, noticing times that you positively influenced change. They don't have to be examples that exactly correlate with the negative event you're focusing on. They can be examples in different settings. So like I said, cast that net far and wide, looking for evidence against the negative statement. The second one is the semantic method, looking at the words that you're using. And if you're using extreme words like can't, should, never, try looking at, seeing, well, no, occasionally, or can or could, see if replacing some of those words is helpful, but also noticing that if you're using those extreme words, you might gain more insight into the reality that you're not quite being as fair to yourself as you could. The third one is thinking in shades of gray. Really examine if you're engaging in all or nothing thinking. And then explore that gray area. Where are the examples that a positive statement could be true or a more neutral statement is true? Then 4 is wise mind. Ask yourself, is your belief based on feelings rather than facts? Honor your feelings. Don't criticize yourself for your feelings. Understand that we're emotional beings. And so a lot of times our thoughts are driven by our feelings. Be kind to yourself as you acknowledge this, but also at the same time, look at some of the facts that help you to step out of those more extreme feelings. So that's the fourth question you want to ask yourself. Are your thoughts based on feelings rather than facts? And then the fifth one, my favorite one, is the double standard technique. And so what you want to do with the double standard technique is ask yourself, if a friend or a colleague with a similar background or similar life experiences, is someone who you respect, who has a lot of things in common with you, and they came to you and they said, oh, you know what, Jeff or Jen or whoever, oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, you won't believe what I did today at the presentation. Oh, I was going over blah, 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 and then I just blanked. I don't know what's wrong with me. I got nervous and I forgot this whole section. And then I had to like quickly go over at the end and I felt like I'm such an idiot. I can't do this. I never do this right. Whoa, whoa, hang on a minute, Jeff. Remember all those other parts of the presentation that you shared? And I noticed there were a lot of people who were taking notes, and I'm pretty sure you helped a lot of people in that group. I think you did a pretty good job there, buddy. Stop being so tough on yourself, right? So you want to kind of ask yourself, what feedback would you give that friend or colleague who was coming to you with that negative self-talk? What would you say to them to help them be more objective, to help them see clearly maybe things they're not seeing in that moment? And then the most important part of this technique is to give yourself that same feedback. Give yourself that same insight. It's difficult to do for ourselves. It's much easier to do for others. It takes practice to give that feedback to ourselves. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And so those are my 5 reframing techniques and questions to ask yourself if you're having a hard time with negative self-talk.